Welcome to another episode of What If Moments for Moms. I'm so happy that you all took a moment out of your busy schedule of motherhood to join us. I have an incredible guest with me today. Her name is Ambi Shantay, and we are going to talk about her incredible story of healing, faith. I cannot wait to have this conversation, and I'm so thankful that you all have joined me. Dr. Brooks Gibbs will be here for a mental health moment, and Stephanie will be back with a What the Hack segment. So go ahead and grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea and take a moment that's just for you. Welcome to Moments for Moms. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy that you're here. My guest today, she is an author, a speaker, a ministry leader, a mom, a wife. She does all of the things, and I'm just so beyond excited that she came to join me. So, Ambi, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk to you. I told you when you got here that this is the first book that I've actually read from cover to cover since Charlie was born almost 3 years ago.
And it's a quick read.
It's a quick read, and I felt like I was reading the pages of my story. So I just was so excited to talk to you about it because I feel like we have so much in common. This is the first time even meeting each other, but it's like, wait, we already have so much in common because of this.
Yes.
So let's start off. Tell us about your family and who you are.
Okay, I am a wife. My husband's name is Jari, and we have an 8-year-old daughter named Josiah. She's our pride and joy. She is our gift from above. I am a credentialer by trade, but I'm called to minister to the hearts, to the broken hearts of God's daughters. I have a ministry called Sisters in the Name of Christ Incorporated, and that before I was even a mother, that was my first baby.
Wow. Okay, so you started that
before. Yes,
okay.
yes. We're celebrating 12 years in ministry. Yes,
that's awesome.
Yes, God actually gave me that vision right before I got married.
Okay.
So it's been one of my first babies, and I've nurtured it, and the mission has changed along the way, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm bringing my daughter up. She goes everywhere I go when I minister because I want that mantle to be passed on to her.
Yeah. And I love what you talked about in the book, like she is a worshiper already.
Yes, she is.
I love that. That's something else that I thought we had in common when I was pregnant. I remember I was pregnant during COVID.
Okay.
So service, everything was
very
online.
Different.
Yes, everything was online. No one was around. So I was watching our service one Sunday morning, and I was standing up and worshiping, just like I would in church. And the Lord spoke to me saying that Charlie was going to be a man of worship in the Word. And so when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, like same.
So similar,
like it is so similar. And I have such a heart for worship. I love leading worship. So when the Lord said that, I was like, oh. So I try and actively, like if I'm at home, get in my guitar and just same thing, like just trying to let him see. Even with your book, remember I told you this morning, he woke up and he said, Mama, that book about trucks. And so I told him, like started telling him, and then he's like, oh, it's about God. And I'm like, yeah. So right now, God lives in his tummy and his heart. Like we're just, he's 2.5, so we're just trying to process. Same, like I can't wait to have those opportunities to bring him with me and do stuff like that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, especially like she's your gift from God. So to be doing that and then looking.
And then just to experience their childlike faith. I think just being a mom or a parent, it really depicts how our relationship with Christ should be. Because our kids are so dependent on us. And that in that same manner, we are to be dependent on Christ.
Yeah. That puts it into perspective when you think about that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, every little thing.
Yes.
Every little thing.
Yeah.
Right? Mama.
Yeah, it definitely would draw you closer if you allow it to. It would definitely draw you closer.
Right, and
to
I think
Father.
that's the hardest part for us because we want to hold on to that control.
Yes.
Where they don't have that yet, you know? So, well, tell me, I know getting to Josiah into that gift was a journey.
Yes.
So let's go into that.
Okay. I have always known, it's always been prophesied to me that there were things wrong with my body. Like people would pray, I could be at random worship services and someone would come and pray over my womb. And I never knew, but I just trusted God. And I was like, okay, something is not right. But at the same time, my husband and I, we hadn't desired really, like, having kids, we wanted to live our life.
Right.
We wanted to enjoy marriage. But then once you start walking in that calling, just as being a wife, because being a wife was not something that I had imagined either.
Okay.
But God had prepared a man for me,
Right.
and he was preparing me for someone. And then once he did that, I was like, okay, God, I can do this. So what's next? And it was to be a mother. So once we started desiring parenthood, I started praying, and he told me that it's not going to be easy. There's something not right with your body. And I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And kind of scared to go to a doctor, you know.
Yeah, yep.
So you say, well, let's just try it. Let's just see. And so it never happened. And we were thinking, okay, I had told my husband after, I'm going to give it a year. My doctor suggested that I give it a year of trying naturally before we considered any kind of fertility methods. And that's what we did. It was at that point that I was about to give up. I mean, I had actually almost threw in the towel. I had just hung up from just going off and exploding on my husband, saying, you know what, I give up.
Yeah.
I'm going to call the doctor. We're going to go see a specialist. And I was sick. You know, I was just feeling bad.
Yeah.
And that's when I checked, and I indeed was pregnant. So that's how, like, that's just the fertility journey. At my point of giving up, the Lord stepped in.
Yeah.
And then, so the pregnancy, it was smooth, just a typical pregnancy. And because I did have issues with my cervix, so I was going to have to be induced and have a C-section. We knew all of that, and I was actually grateful because I was high risk. I was grateful for that because it gave me assurance every week. You know,
there's something about
you have to go to those doctors every week, every 2 weeks.
I hated it that for us, because I was older. They called it geriatric. Like, how dare you? Like, I'm not that old, but there's something about, like, I got so many ultrasounds. Like, my friends are like, we don't get ultrasounds, but like 4 times. I'm like, well, I get it every week. Like,
we
there's
get to
something
see that
about
baby
it. Yep.
every time we go.
Yes.
And I love that, and I cherish that. And so the day came, everyone was excited. We had such a village around us. And I was the kind, you didn't get to experience that because of COVID, but I wanted everyone around me. You know, you all have been with me through thick and thin. I want you. Sure, you can come.
Yeah.
And so we went to the hospital. We knew the game plan because I'm strategic. I'm organized. I have planned for this. I'm telling my mom, you know, I go in. We have to be there at 7. I should have the baby shortly after. It takes 15 minutes, girl. But God, that was not His plan. That was not His plan. So I go in, and first of all, like, none of the spinal tap, the epidural, none of that is working. My blood pressure is high. By the time they induce me, by the time they're taking me back, I'm like, but I thought I'm supposed to be numb. You know, I'm still fully aware. And I can feel the procedure that's going forward. And when I told them, I don't think I'm supposed to feel this, that's when they put some medicine in, and I was out, of course. The next time I woke up, it was evening time. So all that I can, with my birth story, all that I can share is what was shared to me.
Right.
Because what had happened was during the birth, once my daughter was out, I believe that I coded. And in return, she coded. And so my husband was in the operating room, and he's watching both his wife and his daughter. And what's crazy is I had asked him on the way there, what happens if you have to choose?
Yeah.
And he brushed it off, not knowing. And so when I woke up, I just remember everyone around, everyone who stayed, because, you know, I told them this was like 15 minutes, you know. And so all I remember is everyone who stayed around. And where's my daughter? And she was in the NICU, and I expected that because we were 3 weeks early. I knew she would be in the NICU, but 24 hours pass. Where is my daughter and what's wrong with me? And so what had happened was my blood pressure had skyrocketed, and I ended up having toxemia, and was on magnesium and just plugged up. I could not move, basically. And so they kept my daughter. My husband, I asked him to just, because I was still in my right mind. I guess I was still in my right mind. But I asked him to just journey it for me. So he took pictures, and so I've just pretty much lived through those pictures. But I'm grateful, and I was mad. If I can be honest, I was mad.
Right.
I was mad that I had a promise.
Yeah.
And it didn't come the way
Yeah.
I thought it was going to come.
And that's just like what we were talking about, like that control.
Yes.
And like I'm a planner like that too, so I totally get it. Okay, so we're gonna take a really quick break, and then we're gonna come back for the rest of this incredible story because I just love it. So stick with us. We'll be right back. You do not want to miss the ending of this incredible story.
The hat. The city.
Hey, I'm Stephanie, and I'm back today with the simplest, it's just the easiest craft ever, but it's gonna make a big bang in your bathroom or your kitchen or anywhere really, right? Yep. I'm back with Rebecca, my crafting buddy, and we're just gonna show you. It's just so simple, but I think you're gonna love it. So I bought a tile, just a marble tile from Home Depot, like $3, okay? And then I bought some wooden dowels because you can pick what kind of legs you want for this. And then I have just like a square piece of wood, okay? So we've painted one of the legs already. We're gonna paint the other one. I have pearl white here, and we're just gonna paint it. And then it's so simple, it's crazy. It's what I love about the internet, right? You come upon all these little crafts that you can do at home. And it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it looks like it costs a lot of money. And that's what we want, right?
Yep.
I am not bougie, but we have a coworker who admittedly, right, is bougie.
Absolutely.
I'm very proud of it, and she's beautiful. And she's the one that actually shared some of her stuff with me today, and you'll see at the end what I mean. Okay, so super simple. It would take a couple of layers of this, but we're not going to keep you forever with our painting, right?
We're messy painters.
Okay. So we can either have square legs or we can have round legs. Yep. I think we're gonna go with square today. So we have, hey now.
Oh, nice.
We have this. I have hot glue. You could use E6000, right? So go ahead and hot glue me right here, please. Yep, super simple. And you could do this with any tile to match your kitchen, to match your bathroom.
Your room.
Perfect. In your room,
right?
Yes.
That could be a cute thing on your room.
Okay, so I'm going to glue some legs on here. And you could pick anything to make the legs. Like, use your imagination, right?
Absolutely.
Walk around the craft store, walk around.
See what you can find.
Home Depot or Lowe's, and just see what you can find. So I am just putting these legs on here. You guys, you're going to be like, this is so crazy easy. Okay, let's move this. Okay, let's move this. Let's put this. Okay, look how this is going to be so cute. Okay, ready? Ready? Look. We're going to do this.
Nice. The
How
fairy
cute.
lights.
And then here's what my bougie coworker. Look at these.
Come on.
These are perfume bottles. How cute. So look, you could have the cutest little marble display.
Yep.
For your perfume bottles.
Yeah.
For if you're in the kitchen, if you like to have the cute little soap dispensers, you could have it in there.
Yeah.
What else did you say? Oh, makeup brushes.
brushes.
I mean, all of the cute things. A tile from Home Depot. You pick what you want for the legs. Yep. It was under $5, but it doesn't look like it was under $5, does it? And it's just that simple. So thank you so much for being with me today. I love having you.
Hey, I love being here.
You guys, my email is going to be right here. You can always email me, ask me any questions. I'm here for you about anything, money, food, crafts, whatever, Christmas.
Oh, she loves
whatever
Christmas.
you need. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
The hat. The city.
We want to connect with you. Make sure to visit our website, momentsformoms.tv, for the latest episodes of the show, guest information, resources, and so much more. Visit momentsformoms.tv today.
Welcome back. I'm so glad that you stuck with us for this incredible story. My friend Ambi is here, and Ambi, when we stopped, you're in the hospital. You still haven't seen your sweet baby yet.
Right.
So
I had not seen her, but I had all these pictures, and so I was just living through that. First off, I couldn't believe that I produced this beautiful baby girl. And I was just waiting on the opportunity. And I'll skip past, how I annoyed the doctors. Every minute I wanted to know.
Of course
I wanted
did.
to know why, and I believe it was my husband and my mother, because they were both there advocating for me. And that's important, that you always have someone advocating for you. I think they suggested to the doctor, because we were going on maybe 48 hours at that point, that, maybe let's just roll her. No, it's not healthy for her right now.
Because your blood pressure.
Exactly. But maybe this will help her,
Yeah.
And so they rolled me to the NICU, and I was so scared, like, she's not gonna know. She hasn't seen me, she hasn't seen me in this long. And come to find out, no, they hadn't fed her because they knew my desire to breastfeed. And so I did get to go and breastfeed her. And the way she just latched on to me, she knew. And all was well. And for me, I think that's what I needed.
Yeah.
Although physically my blood pressure did not go down at that moment, but that was what my heart needed, because I considered that moment like you're waiting on a package. And, we're in anticipation of that package. And then the package arrives, but it's not what you wanted, or it's not how you perceived it to be, and the disappointment. And so for me, that's what I just kept picturing as I was in the hospital, because I prayed for this. God promised it to me. It came, but it didn't come the way that I thought it did.
Yeah.
And so Zaya, that's what we call her. Zaya she was actually out of the NICU before I was better.
Yeah.
She was out of the NICU before I was released. Primarily because not only did I have issues with my blood pressure, but I was also experiencing hormonal changes, which would be postpartum. But I felt like that was overlooked. And it's just so good to have an advocate. And not only was it postpartum, but actually I felt the enemy.
Yeah.
I felt the moment he creeped into that hospital room. And that's when like I shifted, and I started experiencing mood disorders and postpartum depression. Like it just started spiraling. And I didn't think that it was postpartum, because for me, from what I had seen and witnessed, postpartum is when you want to hurt yourself, or you want to hurt the child, and people are afraid for the safety of you and your family, So I completely disregarded that.
Right.
And all that I wanted was to make someone hurt the way that I did. That's all that I wanted. And so I was very mean, and I was very ugly. And sometimes to this day, I still apologize to my husband, or I still ask him, why did you stick around? Because I was so mean and so ugly to him. But he knew. And even just talking to my mom, because I was not myself. And I would ask them, why did you stick around? And they said, because we knew that was not you.
Right, yeah.
And I remember my mom saying, you were so excited about being a mother.
Yeah.
You had everything planned out. You knew how you were going to do things. She said, and when you got home, you didn't care about any of that.
Right.
She said, so I went to the family and I told them, Ambi needs help. And my mom stayed a month. I think my grandmother stayed 2 weeks. My mother-in-law, she came. And so my village, they really nurtured me and comforted me through that process.
Right. Let alone having a C-section, because I was so grateful it was COVID, but my mom was there and my grandparents were in town and stayed. You can't bend over.
No.
Like there's physical things. Like we weren't, so mine was an emergency C-section.
Okay.
I had HELLP syndrome. We went in because I was sick 5 weeks early, and the doctor came back and he says, we got to get you delivered.
Oh, my.
And I looked at him like he had like 6 heads. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking
So that
about?
wasn't even planned.
Not planned at all. I was
Wow.
terrified at that point. They did try and induce me. We still weren't planning on a C-section,
Right.
but I just didn't dilate.
Right.
So nobody was prepared. Nobody was allowed. Thank the Lord that Bobby was allowed, because I think that some months before that,
Nobody.
and I can't
couldn't
imagine, because he had to make decisions on my behalf, because like you, I wasn't in my right mind. And I remember I wouldn't dilate, and then my sweet doctor, she touched me on the leg and she said, it might be time to consider a C-section. And then she took which I didn't know this happened, she took my husband out and she goes, we're having a C-section in an hour. Like, I was like, thank you because my blood pressure was already up with help. And so she wasn't trying to like get me even more afraid. But it is the only experience I have is like you're saying from your husband. And I told you, I still ask Bobby to this day, I'm like, what did you see? Did you see it all? Like, what did you see? Why won't you tell me? Like, did I die? Like, what did you see? And I don't know if it was just traumatizing for him, but it is so hard because like there is such that disappointment. We had tried for years, and we came to the place where we were just going to adopt because it wasn't happening. I was 37 at this point. Like, I'm thinking, okay, you know? So we just thought we were going to adopt, and then, the one time I took the pregnancy test, and then I went to the store and got a box of, I think, 7 of them. I'm like, is this right? And they're all positive. And I'm like, okay, I guess I could tell him now. But just the expectation of like, oh, here's your baby, and they're handing it to you, and he's laying on you, and you're doing all the things. They tried to hand I remember seeing Charlie like flop up, you know, the sheet in the room that you're in. I remember them flopping him up there, and they tried to give him to me, but I couldn't move my hands because
So you were at least awake.
Drugged up, yes, but I couldn't move. And then after that, he was just gone with Bobby somewhere. And so it's like the expectation of like what you think and what you see in movies and what you hear and then what you experience. But like trusting that God, like you with your ministry that you have now, like God had a plan for why he had the promise, but he had a plan. It might not have been our plan. But okay, before we forget, I want to make sure, what is your daughter's name again?
Josiah.
Josiah.
Yes.
How did you get to that?
So when I was pregnant, you know, I knew this plan. I knew that there was going to be a testimony. There was already a testimony, but I knew that there was more to the story. So I remember one Saturday morning, I was laying in bed, and I said, God, I'm not getting out of this bed today until you give me a name. I want you to choose her name. And so I'm just listening. Like, I'm literally just laying in bed, and it's quiet, and I'm just waiting and listening. And I start looking through things, and I remember Josiah came to my mind, and I was like, no, God, I'm not naming her Josiah. And the Holy Spirit was saying, think outside of the box. And so I just started I got out a piece of paper and I was writing it down, and I was thinking of different ways I could turn it into a girl's name. And Josiah came to mind, and I wanted to spell it. I was thinking about, okay, I need to spell it the way so that she can remember, you know, not to confuse her.
Right.
So that's the way I spelled it. But I looked it up. My husband and I had already decided that Joelle would be her middle name. The Joelle means the Lord is willing. Josiah, as he had given me, means the Lord has healed. So what her name is interpreted to mean is the Lord has healed and is willing. And how prophetic that would be on the day that she's born. Right. Like, that's once again, it's my sign. He's already healed her, and he desires to do that.
And another sweet part of that for me is that you wanted her name to start with the same initial as your husband's.
As my husband,
and he did that. There's
yes.
so many small details, and I think something that you pointed out that I love is that you waited. You sat still and you waited, because that's really hard to do.
That's where we missed the mark.
Yeah, we do. Yes. And okay, so now in this season, you're still doing your ministry.
I am.
Tell me a little bit about that before we
Sisters
close.
in the Name of Christ?
Yes.
Sisters in the Name of Christ it's my baby. It's a 501c3 interdenominational ministry. We cater to disadvantaged women throughout Middle Tennessee. Over the years, that disadvantage, it's varied, it's changed, especially with the pandemic.
Yeah.
So now we're more so focusing on spiritually disadvantaged.
Okay.
Those who have lost
Right.
and are in a season of recovery
Right.
and restoration. And so this year, the Lord told me, stop all of your cute events. Let's halt the cute events.
Yeah.
I need you to equip my daughters.
Okay.
And so every month I've been hosting free lunch and learns throughout Murfreesboro. And I post them, and I have I make about 25 seats available, but they are completely free. And I'm
That's
giving
awesome.
you tools and resources. I'm allowing women who have a platform, but it may not be well known.
Right.
You know, it's my opportunity to give and to receive for all women.
I love that.
And so he told me to do that all year, all 2024. And so we have a full agenda for the rest of the year. I don't know what he's going to do next year, but we are fully spirit-led. So wherever whatever he tells us, we'll do.
And they can find all that information on your website. We'll put that up on the screen and all of that. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
I am so grateful for this.
I'm so encouraged by your story.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. Dr. Brooks Gibbs will be here with a mental health moment, and I hope you enjoy it. And thanks for being here with us.
For the Christian Television Network, I'm Dr. Brooks Gibbs, and welcome back to your Mental Health Moment. Today, we're addressing a powerful emotion that everyone experiences, but not everyone knows how to handle. We're talking about anger. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26 offers really good advice about anger. It says, "In your anger, do not sin." See, anger in itself is not wrong. It's a natural human emotion. It's actually useful for injustices or facing wrongdoings and making them right. The key, however, lies in how we manage and express this anger. So when anger arises, strive to express it constructively in a way that fosters understanding rather than destruction. Managing anger effectively is crucial for our mental health, promoting healthy relationships and maintaining a peace of mind. So when you feel the heat of anger, take a step back, breathe for a second, and choose to respond wisely. And you know what? You could actually get in front of anger by obeying another proverb that says, "It is a man's glory to overlook an offense." For the Christian Television Network, I'm Dr. Brooks Gibbs.
What? I'm a dude? Yeah. What are you doing? Are you working out? Are you done? That was a pretty short workout.
Yeah.